All right, welcome to the Elkhorn City Council meeting. We continue to be holding remote meetings while the governor's executive order continues to be in effect due to COVID-19. I'd like to remind our citizens they can submit questions for items on today's agenda. Public comments may also be submitted at this time, and they will be read at the appropriate time during this meeting. Comments will be accepted up to the conclusion of the vote of the item. Comments can be submitted through the City of Elkhorn's website, which is www.cityofelkhorn.us. Under agendas and minutes, go to video streaming and you'll see a button and submit your comments. The meeting is now called to order, and I'll ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Wells?
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz?
Here.
Council Member Goebel?
Here.
Council Member Kendrick?
Here.
And Council Member Mitchell?
Here.
Thank you.
I want to welcome our new council members. Well, only one who's not been with us before. Michelle, welcome very much. We're so glad you're here. And
Thank you.
Congratulations to Steve and Phil for their continuing roles. And before we move on with the meeting, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite Bob McClellan to say a few words. He's had a stellar career here in El Cajon, been a mentor to me and an inspiration to many of us, I think. And Bob, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you. And just to bring a few things to the attention of the public and the council, that when I first got on the council, I was appraised by a citizen that there were pornographic newspapers in the news racks in El Cajon, and over a long period of time, a couple of years it took, to actually change a state law by putting so much pressure on the legislators through the other city councils in the state, sending out these pornographic newspapers, which was a little embarrassing. But we eventually got the law changed. They don't put them in the news racks anymore. And for that, I got a award from Focus on the Family, if you've ever heard of them, Hometown Hero of the Year. And then I heard about cigarette machines in El Cajon. We decided to outlaw the cigarette machines, and then we took a survey by the Chamber of Commerce to see if they wanted smoking in the restaurants. And majority of the restaurants did not want smoking at all. So we outlawed smoking in the restaurants. Then Gary came along, and he's taken over most of the smoking, alcohol, and things like that. We did change the ordinances to keep pornographic stores out of reach in El Cajon pretty much. And eventually the F Street bookstore closed, which I was very happy to see. It's not a nice thing to have right in the center of your community. And one of the couple of the big things that happened while I was on the council is we approved the ordinance for the option of the El Cajon Transitional Living Center to stay on East Main Street in El Cajon. And we were sued by some of the businesses in the community and didn't like it there, and did too much noise, and problems in the neighborhood. And about a year after that, they sent a nice letter out to us saying how much they appreciated it. And actually, they'd sued us, and we won the lawsuit thanks to Morgan or possibly Lynn McDougall. And that was a big thing. And that was one of the major things in El Cajon. And Gary picking up the ball on the smoking and alcohol things brought this ordinance together. And he called me about it, and I said, yeah, it sounds great. The El Cajon thing to discourage people from selling alcohol to minors. We already had the cigarette one minors. And I hope you carry through with that. Continue to monitor that at least once a year, probably twice. That's your job, Mark Graham. Make sure that happens. But I really appreciate all of the staff, El Cajon, the police, the fire, the municipal employees, city attorney, Graham Mitchell. I've known you since back in early 2000s when you were city manager in Lemon Grove, and you're doing a great job. Seen a lot of city managers come and go, and you're a great city manager. We really appreciate you. A good job. And I don't know what else I can say, but a long time, and I think we've made some good changes in El Cajon, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. So thank you very much for the ability to speak out, say goodbye to you all. So I won't be coming to the too many meetings in the future, but thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody in the council like to say anything?
Well, I'll say that Bob was always there to, especially when I was a new council member, to tell me how things worked and give me really good advice. And I always told my boys, as when people at the, sometimes criticize Bob at the council meetings, he's like a duck just with water running right off his shoulders, and he just smile, and that was it. He never let anything get to him.
Yeah. You remember when we had the historical videos on the government channel? I got lambasted over that, but he went away. So anyway, thank you, Gary, for your support all these years, and doing a great job on the council. And Michelle, you can always learn a lot from the other council members.
Thank you.
We got probably the best council in San Diego County.
Bob, I've got a couple of words. Being relatively new at this, we're all kind of walking into a $47 million reserve. And that's after probably 2 recessions during your term or your time.
Right.
So I think a lot of people owe you thanks for walking us through a recession, and to have the fiscal health that we have today is a big deal. So thank you for walking us through that to get us to this point that we're in good shape.
Just remember, keep your budgets tight, and don't give away too many incentives that you can't afford the pensions in later, because that's a killer. So anyway, everybody have a great council meeting, and I'm passing the card to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good. Okay.
We look forward to having you back at a time when we can all get together in person.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you.
Okay. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the October 13th, 2020 meeting and the agenda of the October 27th, 2020 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. We have one presentation on today's agenda, and I'd like to invite our Director of Recreation, Mr. Frank Carson, to tell us about this.
Sir, I'm sorry. That's not the correct script for you.
No, great.
I did email it. I'm not sure where they picked that one up from, but I did email it to you, and I'll be happy to email it again if you need me to.
Okay, well, luckily I have an iPad ready. But I have to pull it up real fast.
Thank you.
Graham, sing a song or something, okay?
You're tempting me, Mayor.
I know you can do it.
There's a solo.
I've heard you sing before.
So low that we can't hear it.
That's cute. Okay.
I just resent it, sir, just in case.
Oh, no, I'm having trouble with the iPhone. I'm just going to read it off my phone. There it is. That's okay. This is what separates the inexperienced from the experienced to be able to handle this kind of problem here. Okay. All right. We've called the roll already.
Page 3, sir.
Thank you. Okay. All right. We have no presentations on today's agenda. Oh, actually, we need to go back. We are back, and I'll ask the city clerk to call the roll once more to include our new council members.
We did that, sir.
Okay. So I guess we're on presentations.
Yes, thank you.
All right. We have no presentations on today's agenda. Agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
Mr. Mayor, I have no changes to the agenda.
All right. Council members, any agenda changes? No. We are now at consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any consent items?
Yeah, I want to pull items 10 and 11.
All right. Staff, do you wish to pull any? All right, let's start with 10 and 11 then.
To staff, my question on this one is, I think the public would ask, we already have one rescue vehicle. Are we going to end up with two? And this was funded by a grant, not by general fund monies. Is that correct?
Mr. Goebel, that is correct, and the short answer is that we will have one vehicle, but I'm going to have our Chief Mike Moulton get into the specifics of that question. Chief Moulton? Well, he's not there, so I'll answer it. So we currently the current vehicle that we possess is actually a regional asset. So it was used with regional grant funds. So we currently utilize that as a regional vehicle. Currently, the vehicle we have now is shared between us and the city of La Mesa. So that vehicle goes back and forth. For the most part, it's housed at our facility. With the purchase of this new vehicle, with again regional grant money, we'll be able to possess the new vehicle, and then the older vehicle will actually transfer to the city of La Mesa. So it will physically be there. The new vehicle will physically be in El Cajon, but both of these vehicles will remain regional assets. So if Escondido, for example, needs a vehicle, they have the ability to draw on that vehicle.
And Graham, I'm on now, and that is correct. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members, and I heard the tail end of what Graham was talking about, and that is correct.
That answers my question. We've heard in the past some members of the community be sensitive to the kind of equipment that we acquire through grants, and so to let the community know we're just going to have one vehicle still is a good answer.
Great. Let's talk about 11 then.
Item 11 is the Housing Authority review annual report. And there was one item in there that said the city was not in compliance with it related to the 30% thing. And I think my understanding is that was really more of a timing issue rather than a program issue. Is that correct?
Mr. Grove, I'll answer that. And if our housing manager, Jamie Van Ravison, wants to add to that, or if I'm getting it a little wrong, she can correct me. But you're exactly right. We had programmed that money, those very low income housing monies, as part of the Lexington Avenue Senior Project. As the council may recall, that project took a little bit longer to close escrow than we had anticipated. We were hoping to close before the last fiscal year. So that set aside money for that very low we would have met that obligation. but because we missed that escrow, the timing of it pushed those expenditures into this next fiscal year. Because there is a commitment over the next 5 years already to participate in that program, even though there's a I guess a penalty or additional requirements that we have to do. We were going to meet those requirements anyway. So as you depicted it, Mr. Goebel, it really is more of a timing issue rather than a failing to program the money issue.
And that's good for the public to know as well, that we haven't dropped the ball somewhere. That was just something that was beyond our control. So the casual reader of the staff report, this provides more color to that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, with the council's permission, then I will lump all these together in one motion to approve the consent items. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded.
Thank you, sir. And before we continue, there are no comments for consent items.
Thank you.
Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel,
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank you. All right, we're now at public comment. This time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. There are no written communications on today's agenda. And
Sir?
do we have any comments?
Yes, we do have. We have one only, and it's from Stephanie Harper, and it reads, "Let me start off by saying we ran one hell of a race, and if anyone besides me won, I'm glad it was you, Michelle. I know that you will represent the citizens of District 2 to the best of your ability. You will listen to what people have to say and make the best decisions for your constituents. I would like to know in your heart that I have all the faith in the world in your ability to be a great council member. You are honest and forthright and hold great passion in your heart for this wonderful city of ours. And that is exactly what we need. I would like you to know that I will be here for anything that you may need, an ear to listen, a person with a different view of a problem, or just a friend to have a cup of coffee with. I want you to know that I have your back for whatever you may need. Us women need to stick together. That's the way we stay strong. May God watch over and guide you on the decisions you make and keep you strong with all you do. Congratulations, Michelle. Make us proud." End of comment.
Girl power. Thank
And
you.
No more comments, sir.
Okay. We are now at public hearings. We have one item to consider. Item 13 is for delinquent refuse collection charges, and I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Council members. I'm Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. The city's franchise agreement with our current solid waste hauler, Waste Management, allows Waste Management to regularly bill for trash services, with the city assuming responsibility for placing liens on the delinquent accounts. Waste Management bills every 4 months. Any outstanding bill for more than 120 days over $40 is considered delinquent. And our residents have several opportunities before the lien process to reconcile their accounts. The city opted to forego the lien process during the January and May invoice cycles this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And as of today, the January 2020 invoice cycle has 401 delinquent accounts out of 639 noticed, with a total balance of $71,006.66. And the May 2020 invoice cycle has 295 delinquent accounts out of 370 noticed, with a total balance of $51,898.16. This completes my report. And I just wanted to mention that Christine Costa with Waste Management is participating in this meeting and available to answer any questions you may have for Waste Management. Thank you very much.
Hi, Christine.
Mayor.
Hi. Okay. Does council have any questions or comments? No. Public hearing is now open. Angela, did you receive any comments from this?
We received no comments, sir.
Okay. Now I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel,
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick,
Yes.
and Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Okay. It's a pretty simple house cleaning kind of situation. I'm just looking for a motion.
I'd just like to toss in one comment. We're only about 3 weeks away from moving away from waste management after what, 20 some years of service?
Yeah,
So
close to
Christine,
40.
if you would convey to your people, thanks for decades of community support, and we wish you well in Santee, I guess, as you continue over there. But thanks for being helpful in the transition to EDCO. And we're still doing business with waste management here in El Cajon, and we're still glad to be with you.
Same. And it's been a pleasure working with all of you guys. It's bittersweet, but I know you guys are all in good hands, and sorry you can't get rid of me that quickly. I'll be over at 1001 West Bradley for the next 30 years. So if you guys need anything, we're here. We're happy to help, and we wish all of you guys a healthy and happy holiday season and all the best. And like I said, we're still your neighbor. We're still here. So we will see you in the community.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Of course.
So would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Do we need more, Morgan? Do we need more than that?
I think the resolution takes care of item 4, but you might add in there and authorize the city clerk to record the amount and the rest of that on the agenda, please.
I'll just read it. Move to adopt the resolution in order confirming the list of property owners as delinquent in the payment of their mandatory trash service bills, and authorize the city clerk to record the amount owed as a lien on the property and forward the list to the county tax assessor for billing on the next property tax bill.
Thank you. And Councilmember Kendrick, you were the second.
Yes. I'll do that
Mayor,
again.
Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel,
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank you. All right, we have 3 administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 14 is for the selection of the Mayor Pro Tem, and I'll ask staff to introduce this item.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Our municipal code requires that the city council each December identify the next mayor pro tem or deputy mayor to serve in that role. Mr. Ortiz has fulfilled the deputy mayor for the last year, and as we come into December, it's the city's responsibility to appoint the next deputy mayor. Our city, unlike some cities, we do not have a formal policy by which that is chosen. I think that's by design. It gives us the council some flexibility. But for a little bit of history, Mr. Ortiz has served this last year. Before that, Mr. Goebel served, and before that, Mr. Kendrick served. So with that, if the council wanted to consider a rotation, maybe let Councilwoman Meschel sort of get her feet wet before we throw her into the fire, I would recommend that Councilmember Kendrick be considered as the deputy mayor. But again, this is a council decision, and I was just giving a little historical background. So with that, council, I turn the time over to you for discussion and decision.
Oh, thanks, Graham. That was good background. Council, you have any questions? All right. Well, I like the idea. Unless anybody objects, I would make a motion that Councilmember Gary Kendrick serve 1 year as the Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mayor Wells, your vote, please.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel,
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick,
Yes.
and Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
You've done this a few times before, Gary.
Yes, I have.
And it will be in good hands. And thank you, Phil, for the time you put into it. We really appreciate that. Job well done.
Happy to serve.
The next administrative report is item 15, an item to regain local control from the state legislature. And I'll ask staff to talk about this.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, at your November 10th meeting, Mayor Wells and Councilmember or Deputy Mayor Ortiz brought forward an item to consider a resolution that other cities around the state of California are adopting. It's a resolution that's encouraging our city council to join other cities in fighting or pushing back against the state legislature, who's slowly eroding local control of land use and other municipal responsibilities. Staff took the sample resolution that has been considered by a lot of other cities. We made some adoptions to it to make it more locally meet our needs. That resolution is identified as part of the agenda packet, and staff is presenting it for city council consideration, and we recommend that you adopt it.
All right. Council, have any questions or comments?
I just want to thank the staff. They took the template from other cities and really punched it up. They did a fantastic job focusing the language and really making it clear. So thank you very much, Graham and your staff, for getting the correct verbiage in there to make it strong and to the point.
Angela, do we have any comments or speaker cards?
No, sir, we do not.
All right. Somebody like to make a motion?
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Mayor Wells, your vote.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel,
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Thank you. The last administrative report is item 16. It is on the COVID-19 status report, and I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, for the last few council meetings, we've been using, this is just a chance for the council to talk about any COVID-19 related data or policies. I typically presented some data that I put together, and then council has asked for some additional information in each of these meetings. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll walk you through the PowerPoint that I have put together. There's actually a lot of new things going on, so the graphs will look significantly different from the last meeting. So I assume council can see the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So today I just wanted to kind of cover some data related to cases and also hospital ICU capacity, and as well as what the new health orders mean. I have included a little bit of data about skilled nursing facilities. Probably not enough, to be honest with you. I've asked the county for some data, and I'm still struggling to get some of it. But by piecing several different documents together, I think I have some information I think is kind of eye-opening for council thought. So this first graph really just shows, this is a county graph actually, and it shows the different, the number of tests taken per day, the percentage of those cases that are confirmed positive, and then there's a 14-day rolling total. So you can see in brief, what this says is even though we've been testing about the same number per day, there's actually more people are testing positive for COVID-19 over a 14-day rolling period. And we're about up to about 7.5% are reporting positive of those that are taking the test on average. This shows hospital admittance per day. And as you can see, it really varies from day to day. And so this graph is really useful only to kind of show what a spike in cases does to hospitalization. As you can see, we've really had over the history of COVID in at least this county, we've really had 3 spikes, kind of near the beginning of it all in April, then what I call the 2 weeks after the 4th of July spike, and then the spike that we've been having now. Even though hospital admittance has gone up pretty dramatic in the last few months, the reality is that our hospital capacity is still strong. And this next graph actually shows hospital capacity. The yellow bar shows the number of COVID-related patients, and then the blue bar shows the total number of patients. So you can see, even though we've had a spike in the number of COVID-related patients, our overall capacity has been about the same. So we're about 75% bed capacity right now in hospitals, and we were about 72% pre-spike in mid-October. So despite this huge number of cases, the reality is our hospitals haven't felt that pressure that other parts of the United States have felt. I should also point out, I've posed the question to the county that the federal government has offered beds at military installations. It's not believed that those beds are included as part of this capacity. So if you were to include those, we even have greater capacity than this graph currently shows. And as you also recall, Palomar Hospital in Escondido had an entire wing set apart as a COVID overflow area, and the county is verifying whether those beds are included as part of this. I can't ascertain whether they are or not included as part of our capacity for either hospital beds or ICU beds. This graph shows the number of estimated active cases since the beginning of the pandemic. And as you can see, we really have, since the beginning of November, had a pretty unprecedented spike in the number of individuals actively testing positive for and then getting or having COVID-19. But, and I'm going to provide that in some context too. And this is the entire county as a whole. This shows the last 30 days, both positive cases and also deaths in our county. This shows El Cajon's estimated active cases. You can see we spiked very similarly to that of the rest of the county, but unlike the county, we've actually begun sloughing off our caseload. I wanted to share some information. I know we talk a lot about skilled nursing facilities, and it's an area that I've been asking for data from the county because we just don't have this data. But we've identified, if you look at the current number of active cases we have at skilled nursing facilities, and that doesn't include congregate care facilities, this is just skilled nursing facilities, we have about 156 cases per 100,000. Now we have about 100,000 population, so we have about 156 active cases right now. From a county perspective, though, if you were to pull El Cajon's population out of the equation and pull those 150 some cases out of the equation, the rest of the county is experiencing about 23 cases per 100,000. So you can see we have a higher proportionate number of skilled nursing facilities in our community. I think that number drives sort of the higher rate case that we have experienced in our city. And I'll be honest, there are some that utilize that high rate case a bit of against us in some of the policy directions that we've taken. But I think if I had access to the data fully, I could pull that out, and we would probably be a little bit more similar to other cities throughout the county. But I thought this is interesting bit of sleuthing that we were able to pull out just to give us a sense of where we stand when it comes to skilled nursing facilities. The other thing I think is important to recognize is we keep hearing health officials talk about how even though we're having this tremendous spike in cases, we're not seeing a spike in hospital usage, or we're not seeing a spike in ICUs, or we're not seeing a spike in deaths. And I've heard a lot of professionals say, well, the spike of fatalities and the spike related to hospital usage tracks 1 or 2 weeks behind a spike in cases. We did not experience that when we had the spike in July, by the way. If you look at our data in our county, there was no spike in hospitalization. There was no spike in deaths that was similar to the spike that we had in the number of cases. So I've started looking at the data from a week-by-week perspective rather than day by day. And you can see that since we began this, I guess since mid-October until now, we've actually had a 500% increase in the number of cases per week. That's pretty significant. So I wanted to see what the caseload for hospitals looked like, and also for fatalities. For deaths and for hospitalization, you can see there is a bit of a spike in hospitalization, about half of the percentage of cases. And there has been an increase in the number of deaths in about a quarter of in terms of a percentage of the number of cases. So this correlation of hospitalization and fatalities on the number of cases is there, but it's a fraction of the total. So when we see these massive spikes in active cases, it's something to be concerned about, but I think to be alarmist would probably be bad public policy in my mind, because the data is just not showing that that deaths and hospitalizations track the same way. Let me share this. I've been including information about outbreaks within the city. The county has not provided new outbreak data to the city since November, so I don't have any new data to share there. And then let me end with talking about how we had moved to purple tier, as you recall, and we talked about what that meant at the last council meeting. We've since no longer are part of a purple or a color tier system. The state has, as you know, or as you know or have heard, has identified 5 different regions within the state of California, and then ICU beds are looked at as sort of the metric. So if an entire region gets below a 15% capacity of ICU beds, then a new stay-at-home order is applied to that entire region. We're part of the Southern California region. Currently, our ICU capacity is 10.1% for the entire area, covering all the way from pretty much Mammoth Mountain all the way up to San Luis Obispo area, including Imperial Valley. I should note, as the latest data I saw about ICU capacity in our county, which includes ICU beds taken up by folks outside of our region, even outside of the Southern California region, we're at about 20%. So even though we're part of the Southern California region, from what I hear, our capacity of ICU beds, at least in our county, still remains robust. So what does it mean, the fact that we have these stay-at-home orders? It means that all what is open are in critical infrastructure, dental and medical offices, hotels can remain open, grocery stores can be at 35% capacity. All other indoor retail, including indoor malls, is at 20% capacity with a requirement to have entrance monitoring to ensure that that threshold isn't crossed. Gyms, places of worship, and recreation can still continue to operate, but only from an outdoor perspective. Restaurants cannot have indoor or even outdoor dining. They must only are resigned to take out and to pick up. Schools can continue to operate if they currently are operating under an in-person permit waiver. And then what are closed are non-essential businesses, places where there's gatherings such as movie theaters, playground equipment is closed. We've actually closed all of our playgrounds in the city of El Cajon. Hair salons, barbers, personal care, bars, museums, zoos, family entertainment are all closed. So that's where we're at right now. Based on the order, there's a 3-week period after we lose our ICU bed capacity. So this stay-at-home order is through a minimum of December 27th and perhaps longer, depending on where we're at from a bed perspective. So with that, staff is able to answer any questions, and if there's additional information that you think that would be useful to the city council in the future, please let me know, and we'll do our best to get that information from the county or our own sources too. So with that, council, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Graham, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So if I hear you right, you're saying that our ICU capacity in the San Diego area, not including Los Angeles, is about 20%. Are beds still open, right?
That's the latest we saw yesterday, and by that way, that number fluctuates greatly from day to day.
Yeah, so my question is, do you have any data on what the average ICU capacity would be in December in other years? Because I remember that Sharp Hospital, I think it was last year or the year before, had to open up tents outside. There were, the last 5 or 6 years, there's been talk about overcapacity or capacity problems in the ICUs and the emergency rooms because of flu and other communicable diseases. Do you have any data about that?
That's a good question. I've actually asked the county for information about hospital capacity in the month of December and also ICU capacity in the month of December for the last 3 years. So we could kind of look at, for all I know, and again, I don't operate a hospital, but perhaps hospitals have to be at about 85% full in order to turn a profit. I don't know that, but I'm making some assumptions that you can't have hundreds and hundreds of hospital beds empty and make money.
Yeah, the profit motive on ICU is probably difficult, but I know that trauma centers oftentimes stay at 90% capacity just because in big cities there's a lot of trauma and you have to be certified as a trauma center. So that's not unusual. But I would guess that Sharp, Grossmont, and Sharp Memorial probably at this time of year stays close to that number. But I don't want to speculate. So if you can get that information, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Graham, do we know how many deaths in El Cajon from COVID? Has that been reported yet?
Mr. Kendrick, you asked me that question today, and it didn't look like the county was reporting deaths per jurisdiction per zip code. But I think that they may start reporting that soon. If I can find that data, I'll let you know, and I'll let the rest of the council know, and I'll provide that to them.
Okay, thank you.
That was actually featured in a UT article within the past 7 days, an interactive map on their website where the county has reported by zip code.
Okay.
Again, let's remember that there are parts of 92021 and 019 that are not in the city limits.
I'll do my best to try to get that honed down from just the city limits and get that data to the council.
I have a question. There was a while ago, the county put out information on where these cases were coming from. And a third of the people got it from another family member. A third of the people got it from work. 17% from travel, including 9% out of the country, down to 0.4% for gyms. That's countywide. Do we have any kind of info? Like, is the county providing you that kind of level for the city?
I have not seen that information, but I can ask for that.
I bet they have it.
Okay, any more questions? Well, that's a great report, Graham. Thanks. The more information you can give us like this, the better, because that's certainly the number one thing on top of people's minds right now is not only the disease, but the shutdowns and what that's doing to individuals and families and businesses, and it's a big issue. So the more information we have, the better.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. that brings us to commissioner reports. There are no commissioner reports on today's agenda. Item 17 is my activities report, which is as reported. Item 18 is the recommendation for the city council assignments. Graham, you want to tell us about this?
Certainly. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as you know, council members have, or I should say the city has opportunities to be represented on various boards and commissions, regional organizations throughout the county. This is something that comes up annually, and we're required for some of these boards actually share with them the minutes to so when your vote is cast, it's legal. So I took last year's assignments. I don't want to say promoted, but for example, Mr. Goebel was the alternate on MTS and Mr. McClellan was the primary. So I recommend that Steve Goebel serve as the primary and that Councilmember Ortiz backfill as the alternate. We have some of the commissions that Mr. McClellan was also on. So I'm recommending that Michelle Mitchell serve on some of those as either the alternate or the primary, especially for the Harry Griffith Park Joint Steering Committee with the City of La Mesa, the County of San Diego, and the Grossmont School District. So I'd recommend that the list that's presented before the council and the staff report be approved, but staff's able to answer any questions of the rationale of why these recommendations were made or make any other changes, and we can note those changes.
Yeah, first off, council, if you're unhappy with your assignment or you for some reason can't do your assignment, now's the time to tell so we could rectify that. Okay. Angela, do you have any speaker cards?
We do not, sir.
Okay, with no more discussion, then I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Mayor Wells, your vote.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ortiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Goebel.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendrick.
Yes.
And Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Mitchell, I think you're muted.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, great. We are now at activities report of council members. Deputy Mayor Gary Kendrick.
As reported.
Councilmember Steve Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Phil Ortiz.
As reported.
And Michelle, you don't have one yet. So did we get one from Bob McClellan?
We did, sir. And it's as reported.
Okay. Great. There are no joint council member reports on today's agenda. There are no general information items on today's agenda. There are no first or second readings on today's agenda. And we are now at closed session. The city attorney will recite the titles and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to briefly, we are going to the alternate facility because we couldn't do the technology to break out and keep it in a Zoom meeting. So you've all received a telephone call-in information. You'll have to give me a minute to host that, so that gives you a minute to go do things. But the two items on the agenda, the first is a closed session for conference with legal counsel pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. The case name is David Homaki versus City of El Cajon. The second is a closed session for conference with legal counsel for existing litigation as well, under paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. And the name of that case is First Main Partners LLC versus City of El Cajon. Thank you.
And counsel, if you can't find that email, let me know and I will shoot you a text that has the phone number and the passcode to get into it. What I'd recommend is as you dial into the number that you mute and you stop video while we're in closed session. And then when we come out of closed session, you can unmute and stop video or using video.
We'll be in closed session and we'll come back and report very soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back from closed session, and I will turn it over to our city attorney to report on the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The City Council met in closed session on 2 items, both having to do with existing litigation. In the first item, which is agenda item 23, was a conference with legal counsel in the matter of Homolki versus City of El Cajon. The City Council gave direction to its attorneys. And in the second item, item 24, in the matter of First Main Partners LLC versus the City of El Cajon, the City Council gave direction to its legal counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. This brings us to the adjournment of the regular meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, and successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 8th day of December 2020. We are now adjourned till Tuesday, January 12th, 2021 at 3:00 p.m. I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a great holiday. And we will see you back in January in 21. Let's hope it's a better year than 2020.
Thank you.
See you then.